So, to get away from just copying a photo of what you want to create your pattern of, or an image, someone else's design, the first thing I do is sketch from my reference images. So you can use Pinterest, you can take your own photographs, you can make a collage from magazines. My pattern that I want to work on, I want to do some like wildflowers or nature based, some leaves and ferns. So I know I want to do thyme, the herb, and I know I want to do some ferns in my pattern and foxgloves, because these are plants I love. So I'm going onto Pinterest and finding these, and I'm also just like Google imaging them. And this first drawing is going to be me looking at the images. You can have them on your phone or iPad or whatever you have, or if you have a physical book of what you want to make your pattern of. And then to get away from copying, I'm going to do another drawing and simplify them more. So I'm starting just looking at pictures of the herb thyme. I actually have some thyme in my lawn, which is really nice. And so I have lots of photos, but the photos I had weren't so great, or looking out the window doesn't really help with the details. So I just Google image stuff, and then this drawing is going to be my reference rather than always copying from someone else's photo. Or I also look at other illustrators, how they simplify things. But I don't ever want to copy someone's photo or someone's illustration. I want to make it my own. One, because it feels better, but another important thing is that for legal reasons, right? There's a copyright on most photos that you see on Google Images. And even if you do a drawing of a photograph, if the drawing is the same composition, that can still infringe on copyright laws. So that only matters if you're trying to sell the image or make a profit off of it. But I do think it's good to just get in the habit of making things your own. So this is the way I've done it over the years, is just this becomes my reference sheet rather than looking at the photos. So I'm taking some steps away from the images I'm using as my reference if they aren't my own. Of course, if it's my own photo of the time, that's great. You can copy it exactly. But we're doing a more simplified design. We need to get away from so much detail. So this is another way to simplify things and pare down. Okay, now I'm looking at some ferns. Oh, you know what? I wanted to do the thyme. Thyme had these purple flowers, and I'm just gonna do a close-up of it from an image just to they'll have leaves in them and little they're all a really nice color, purple. These are little flowers, and I'm really trying to simplify here because the painting isn't gonna be so detailed. So I'm trying to just get the shape, and then it would have the thyme leaves that come off like that. Okay. I don't know if I love the way that looks, so this is also a good time to see what you wanna put in and take out. I'm going to draw some different types of ferns. Now I am looking at other illustrators. So what I've looked up is wallpaper. Wallpaper has a lot of great options. And there's a lot of really cool designers and artists doing different wallpaper. And so I looked up on Pinterest, black background floral wallpaper to see what other artist, or I even looked up nature and plants and found a lot of really cool stuff. The reason I keep saying Pinterest is because when you click on one image, it will then, if you scroll down, show you other similar images. So you might get to something that you didn't even know was going to be helpful. And that's why I use it a lot. I make like a lot of mood boards on there. So I'm seeing a couple different ways that artists are doing ferns. So I want to just like try just quickly sketching some and see how I feel about each way and what's going to work for me. So I'm not taking a ton of time, and that is good because then I'm helping simplify it. I also see, so I see some that have like all these separate leaves. I'm also seeing some that are like, so on this one, I'm really looking at other illustrators' work and seeing how they do it. And they make it, this one looks so simple, but it's actually kind of hard to do this one. I don't know if I love that shape. What I am seeing that I love is this kind of spiral thing when the ferns are growing. So I think I do want to include that in my painting. So I'm going to try to figure out how this shape works. And it goes like this. This is really cool. So I'm just picking out things that I like, that I want to include, and I'm drawing them and making them my own. You know, other places to go for inspiration are like looking at wallpaper or wrapping paper, like holiday wrapping paper, gift wrapping paper in Target or Walgreens. You know, you might walk past that stuff, but there's a designer that created those, and they're often really, really interesting. So, you know, the inspiration can be all around you. It can be in your backyard. It can be on, if you take a walk. You can also do geometric shapes. So you could be inspired by architecture, obviously anything in nature, and, you know, take a look what's out there. Also, if you go to like Home Depot, the tile is always really cool. And those are great patterns. Those are meant to be patterns. So you could do like a block pattern, you know, that has different geometric shapes in it. There's all kinds of stuff that are meant to go together. That could be really interesting, you know, and this could like make a circle if you had four, if you did four. So there's some really cool stuff out there, and you know, you don't have to go to a museum or a gallery or somewhere where you have to pay to get inspiration artistically. It's in Home Depot, in Walgreens, in the wrapping paper, on the background of TV. Like there's textiles and clothing design. There's so much out there to be inspired by. Sneaker design is really cool. Okay, I wanted to do one more, and I want to do a daisy because I love daisies. So I want them to be really kind of fun and have these fun lines, and maybe do some. So daisies have a lot more leaves on them than this, but I'm simplifying it to make it like a design. And so these would be the 3 circles. And I'm already trying to, while I'm doing this first sort of layer of reference, I'm already trying to think about it as a pattern design and how I can repeat. I'm going to have to paint these over and over again. So I'm thinking about breaking down the shapes and simplifying stuff. And I know that my brush can make these petals with just like a brush stroke. So I'm thinking about that. And I know my brush can also do these these can each be a brush stroke. So you'll see how that works. And I know that can be kind of fun and quick for me to do since I'm going to be doing them over and over. So I'm pretty happy with those daisies. I'm going to try one without the leaves and see which I like better. I think I might want the leaves because I like all the green. I want to have a lot of green in this image. And the more you draw these, you know, it's never a waste of time to do this kind of like reference sheet, because the more you draw, the easier it is. The more you can simplify things down and recognize their most simple shapes. And that's kind of cool too. I think we'll see how it goes. Okay, and then foxgloves. These are one of my favorite flowers. So I'm always just starting with the stalk if you're doing something floral, which you of course don't have to, you can do whatever you want. And they're like these bell shapes, but then they're open. So I'm really already simplifying. So they're like these triangles with like an oval on the bottom. And then I think having some in the center here helps. And I know when I'm painting, I'm gonna paint the green first, and then I can paint the color of the petal right on top of it, so it'll cover it up. I'm gonna try some different sizes. Thinking about if I want to do the leaves on this one, and I might not because there's so much going on, and it's really the flowers that I love on these. I'm also gonna try maybe doing it like this way, sort of more to the side, and see what I think about that, if they're like hanging over. So this is how I start my reference sheet. And then I'm going to move on to using this as a reference. I'm not looking at any photos anymore. So again, you can choose something nature-based. You can choose something that would be like a holiday wrapping paper or a wallpaper. You can choose something geometric or abstract that would be like clothing or textile. It could be for a backpack or a journal cover. Journal covers are really good to look at for inspiration. You know, anything you can think of that has a pattern on it, just look around and see what's interesting to you. And then you're gonna think about these individual elements that you want to put into your pattern. And before thinking how they're gonna work in a pattern, you're just gonna draw them all out. Just to get an idea of what you like and what you don't like. And I'll just show you, this is the first one that I did when I was practicing. And I tried a bunch of different stuff and I just X'd out what I didn't like. And I kept what I did like, and I started writing the colors that I wanted to use. So this is something I do on my own all the time. It's a way to get a step away from the reference, to figure out what you want. It's like a brainstorming tool.